Before the first temples were built, before men named their gods, Africa was already listening. In the hush of dawn, when mist still clings to the savanna, an unseen rhythm moves through the land. It stirs the trees, hums through the rivers, and dances with the firelight in every village. This is the pulse of animism, the oldest religion in African history, and perhaps the oldest language ever spoken between man and spirit. Long before written words or sacred scrolls, Africans looked around and found the divine reflected in everything. The earth was not just soil, it was mother. The wind was not just air, it was messenger. To live was to move within a world alive with consciousness, a world where every breath carried meaning. Animism was not written in books. It was sung by the griots, carved in masks, whispered in the rustle of leaves. It taught that everything, the mountain, the rain, the drumbeat, even silence, carries life within it. To harm the earth was to wound a living being. To speak to a river was to speak to a conscious soul. For countless generations, this belief shaped how Africans saw the world. Not as a battlefield of gods and men, but as a family of spirits, each connected, each breathing together. Before the words religion or philosophy existed, Africa had already found the sacred in the ordinary, the divine in the everyday. Animism was never just about worship. It was about relationship, with nature, with ancestors, with the unseen. It built moral codes without commandments, temples without walls, and communities bound not by doctrine, but by rhythm, ritual, and respect. To this day, its echoes remain, in the blessing of water before a journey, in the rhythm of drums that summon the ancestors, in the quiet belief that life does not end, it simply changes form. In this journey, we'll travel deep into that ancient worldview. We'll uncover how animism began, how it evolved, and how it continues to shape modern Africa in ways often unseen. This isn't a story of relics or ruins. It's the story of a living faith, one that still breathes in the heartbeat of a drum, the crackle of fire, and the whisper of the wind. This is animism, Africa's oldest religion, and the eternal conversation between spirit and life itself. Long before maps divided the continent, Africa was already home to an invisible order, a rhythm that guided how people lived, hunted, farmed, and dreamed. In that world, spirituality was not a separate activity, it was existence itself. From the deserts of the Sahara to the lush rainforests of the Congo, communities observed patterns in the stars, movements of animals, and cycles of rain and drought. They recognized something profound, that life moves in circles, not lines, and that every element in that circle breathes with spirit. Animism was born not from doctrine, but from observation. The earliest human realization that the world is alive. When lightning struck, it wasn't merely weather, it was a voice. When a tree fell, it was not random, it had meaning. When ancestors appeared in dreams, they were not gone, they were communicating. Across the vast and diverse landscape of Africa, this perception of aliveness wove itself into the social fabric of every community. Each tribe expressed this truth in its own way. Among the Yoruba, the universe was animated by Ashe, the sacred force that flows through all creation. For the Akan people, life was a thread spun by Nyame, the supreme creator, yet sustained by countless spirits who governed the forests, rivers, and skies. The Dinka of Sudan spoke of Nialik, a divine presence that connects all beings, while the Dogon of Mali looked to the stars and told stories of ancestors who descended from Sirius to bring life and knowledge to Earth. Though separated by distance and language, a single understanding united them all. Everything that exists is connected through spirit. No life stands alone. The hunter and the hunted, the earth and the rain, the newborn and the ancestor, each are participants in the same sacred continuum. What made African animism truly distinct from other ancient spiritual systems was its communal foundation. It did not place humanity above nature, but within it. The forest was not a resource, it was a relative. Animals were not property, they were companions in the web of life. This philosophy shaped not only ritual but ethics, teaching that harmony, respect, and reciprocity were divine obligations. There were no holy books, no temples of stone. The shrine was the land itself. The sacred text was the wind whispering through baobab trees. Knowledge passed through oral tradition, preserved by griots and priests, elders and mothers, each retelling the stories that gave meaning to existence. In this way, animism endured not as a static religion, but as a living philosophy, adaptable, intimate, and eternal. As centuries passed, African civilizations rose and fell, from Kush to Mali, from Ife to Great Zimbabwe. Yet the pulse of animism persisted beneath every drumbeat and every dance. It informed how kings ruled, how healers cured, and how farmers greeted the dawn. It became the spiritual grammar of the continent, shaping myths, laws, and moral codes for millennia. And even as later religions would arrive, bringing new names for gods and new languages for prayer, the heartbeat of animism never faded. It remained the unspoken truth behind every ritual, the hidden melody behind Africa's story. For in the end, animism is not simply Africa's beginning. It is humanity's reminder that the sacred has always been close, breathing quietly through the things we too often call ordinary. In the beginning, there was energy, silent, vast, and breathing. From this unseen source came the first vibration, the soundless drumbeat that gave rhythm to creation. To the peoples of Africa, that source has many names. To the Yoruba, it is Olodumare. To the Akan, Nyame. To the Igbo, Chukwu. To the Zulu, Nkulunkulu. And though each name differs, they all point to the same truth, a supreme creator whose essence flows through everything that exists. Unlike the distant gods of later religions, Africa's creator is both beyond and within the world. The creator is the breath behind the wind, the warmth in the sun, the memory in the bloodline. Life itself is the creator's presence distributed across existence. Every being, every tree, every droplet of rain carries a spark of divine energy. But this cosmic power does not act alone. Between the creator and humankind lies a vast spiritual network. A web of intermediaries who govern the forces of nature, oversee human destiny, and maintain harmony within the universe. These are the Orishas, Abosun, Loa, and Alusi, spiritual beings who personify natural elements and human virtues. They are not gods in competition, but expressions of the same source, each with a unique personality and purpose. Among the Yoruba, Shango rules thunder and justice, fierce yet fair. Oshun governs love, beauty, and the sweetness of rivers. Ogun reigns over iron, war, and labor. The spirit of creation through struggle. Each Orisha reflects a human quality, reminding people that the divine is not abstract but relatable. In West Africa, devotion to these beings is not about worshipping idols, but maintaining balance, feeding the unseen world so that life remains in harmony. In the Akan cosmology, the Abosom are children of Nyame, inhabiting rivers, forests, and mountains. To the Shona of Zimbabwe, Maori is the supreme being, but the Mondoro, lion spirits of ancestors, roam the earth as protectors of the people. Across the continent, this divine order repeats with breathtaking variation, yet shared essence. All of life is a layered reality, a continuum between the spiritual and physical. At the heart of this system stand the ancestors, the revered dead who never truly depart. In African thought, death is not an ending, but a transition to another form of existence. The ancestors watch, guide, and intercede. Their presence is woven into every prayer, every naming ceremony, every drumbeat that calls the past into the present. When families pour libation, they are not performing a ritual of memory, they are opening a dialogue. To forget the ancestors is to sever the roots of the living tree. To remember them is to draw strength from those who walked before. In this way, animism transcends time itself. The living, the dead, and the unborn form one eternal circle. This worldview eliminates the fear of death. Instead, it celebrates continuity. The ancestors are not gone. They are the soil that nourishes the living spirit. This spiritual structure, creator, spirits, ancestors, and humans, forms the backbone of African cosmology. It is not a hierarchy of power, but of relationship. The creator gives life, the spirits sustain it, the ancestors protect it, and humans participate in its renewal through ritual, gratitude, and moral living. In the eyes of the animist, to live without reverence is to fall out of rhythm with the universe. Harmony must constantly be restored through offerings, prayers, music, and dance. These acts are not superstition. They are conversation. The drumming, the chants, the smoke rising from fire, all are messages carried between worlds. Across generations, this cosmic order shaped governance, law, and ethics. Kings ruled not by force, but by spiritual legitimacy. Diviners interpreted signs from the spirits before decisions were made. Healers called upon ancestral wisdom before treating the sick. Every act of leadership, healing, or justice was spiritual work, an attempt to keep the human world in tune with the cosmic order. Even today, the echoes remain. In the vibrant festivals of Nigeria, in the libations poured at Ghanaian funerals, in the whispered prayers of a grandmother before planting season, the conversation continues. The divine hierarchy lives on, not as a relic of the past, but as the unseen rhythm of African life. Animism, in its essence, is not a religion of fear or obedience. It is a religion of balance, of reciprocity, of love between worlds. It teaches that power does not descend from above. It flows in all directions, from heaven to earth, from ancestor to child, from tree to breath. And so when the African looks to the sky and feels the wind stir through the grass, they know the Creator is speaking, the ancestors are listening, and the universe is alive with spirit. If belief is the soul of animism, then ritual is its breath, the sacred act that keeps the connection between worlds alive. Every movement, every chant, every offering in African spirituality carries intention. Rituals are not performance, they are dialogue, conversations with the forces that animate life itself. Across Africa, these rituals vary in form, yet share a single essence: maintaining harmony between humans, nature, and spirit. Among the Yoruba, before a ceremony begins, drummers call the orishas with complex rhythms, each beat a coded language, inviting specific deities to draw near. The Bata drum speaks to Shango, the Sakara whispers to Oshun. Music is not entertainment, but invocation, a bridge between worlds. In the Akan tradition of Ghana, the pouring of libation is one of the most universal acts of communion. Before any gathering or decision, the elder pours the first drops of palm wine or water onto the earth, invoking the ancestors. Come and drink with us. It is a gesture of gratitude, remembrance, and respect, acknowledging that the living stand only because the dead still hold them upright. Among the Zulu of South Africa, ancestral rituals known as ukubuisa are performed to welcome the spirit of a departed family member back home after burial. Cattle are sacrificed, songs are sung, and the living share food with the spirit, symbolizing reunion. To the Zulu, this act ensures the ancestors' peaceful integration into the spiritual lineage, protecting and guiding future generations. The Dogon people of Mali, famed for their cosmic knowledge, express spirituality through masked dances known as the Dama. These elaborate performances, featuring tall, intricate masks and rhythmic movement, are not mere art. They are a sacred language that helps the souls of the departed ascend to the realm of ancestors. Each mask, carved from sacred wood, carries deep symbolic meaning. The Kanaga mask represents the link between heaven and earth, while the Sirij mask embodies ancestral continuity. In the forests of Central Africa, the Pygmy peoples perform nightly singing rituals to communicate with forest spirits. The polyphonic chants, haunting, layered harmonies, are said to mirror the voice of the forest itself. Through these songs, they maintain balance with the ecosystem, reaffirming their place as children of nature. Symbols in animism are not static icons, they are living expressions of power. The mask, for instance, is not just decoration. When worn, it transforms the dancer into the spirit it represents. The totem serves as a lineage marker, reminding families of their origin and duties to both the land and their ancestors. The calabash, common across West Africa, symbolizes creation, its two halves representing heaven and earth, forever connected. Fire, water, earth, and air are not elements to be studied, but beings to be honored. A simple fire becomes a messenger, smoke carries prayers upward. Rivers are cleansed not only with water but with intention, each ripple a reply from the divine. Even colors carry meaning: white for purity and spirit, red for vitality and sacrifice, black for the ancestral presence that grounds all life. In these rituals, no act is meaningless. The rhythm of the drum, the taste of kola nut, the smoke of burning herbs, each is part of an intricate symphony that binds the physical to the metaphysical. Through ritual, the invisible becomes visible. Through symbolism, the intangible gains form. This is how animism survives. Not in monuments of stone, but in gestures, rhythms, and symbols passed from one heartbeat to the next. It is in the mother who ties a charm around her child's wrist for protection, in the farmer who greets the dawn before planting, in the storyteller who invokes the ancestors before speaking. Each act, no matter how small, reaffirms the sacred relationship between spirit, nature, and humanity. In a world rushing toward disconnection, these rituals remind us that every moment is sacred, every gesture a prayer, every breath a ritual of life. In the world of animism, morality is not a list of commandments written on stone. It is a living pulse, a rhythm that echoes through human behavior, through the land, and through the unseen. To live rightly is to live in balance, for every act, thought, and word sends ripples through the spiritual web that binds all things. African morality begins with awareness, the knowledge that nothing stands alone. When one harms another, they disturb not just a person, but the spiritual equilibrium of the entire community. When one pollutes the river, they offend the spirit of water, and in turn, the ancestors who dwell within it. Justice, then, is not about punishment, it is about restoration, a return to harmony between the visible and invisible worlds. The great African ethic of Ubuntu, I am because we are, emerges directly from this spiritual philosophy. It teaches that humanity exists only in relationship. One cannot be whole if others suffer, for the spirit of life flows through all beings as one breath. This is why community, generosity, and reconciliation lie at the heart of traditional African societies. To forgive is not weakness, it is healing the spiritual wound that division creates. In the villages guided by animistic belief, moral order was maintained through rituals of truth and reconciliation. When conflict arose, elders would invoke the ancestors as witnesses, calling upon their presence to guide judgment. The guilty were not simply condemned, they were given a path to cleanse their spirit through offerings, service, or symbolic gestures of atonement. The goal was always to restore balance, not to destroy. This moral framework extended beyond human relationships to include nature itself. Hunting required prayer, farming required blessing, and every harvest demanded gratitude. Taking life without respect was seen as spiritual corruption. To live ethically was to recognize that one's survival depended on harmony with all forms of life. In this way, animism built civilizations without laws written on paper. It wove morality into the daily rhythm of existence, where kindness was not a rule, but a reflection of understanding that every being is sacred. To be moral, in the animistic sense, was not to obey, it was to listen. Listen to the ancestors, to the river, to the silence between drumbeats. For in that silence lies the voice of the spirit, reminding humanity that harmony, not power, is the true measure of righteousness. For thousands of years, animism pulsed through Africa, unseen, unbroken, and whole. Then, a new kind of faith arrived on foreign ships carrying Bibles, crosses, and flags. With it came a belief that the African spirit needed saving, and that the old gods were merely shadows of ignorance. The colonial encounter was not only political, it was spiritual conquest. Missionaries walked beside soldiers, preaching salvation while empires drew borders. Villages that once honored ancestors at dawn were told to bow to a distant god at sunset. Drums that once spoke to spirits were silenced, labeled pagan noise. Shrines were torn down, sacred groves were burned. To destroy the gods of a people is to break their sense of belonging, and that was the quiet logic of colonial domination. But Africa did not surrender easily. Beneath the forced hymns and foreign prayers, the old rhythms still throbbed. The people adapted, hiding their gods behind the faces of new saints. In the Caribbean, enslaved Africans fused Catholic icons with orishas, birthing Santeria and Vodou. In Brazil, the Yoruba spirit Ogun wore the armor of St. George. In Haiti, Erzuli took the veil of the Virgin Mary. These were not acts of submission, they were acts of survival, spiritual camouflage in a world that outlawed their truth. In many parts of Africa, this quiet resistance took different forms. The Igbo blended ancestral reverence with Christianity. The Shona continued to honor Mwari in sacred caves, even as colonial churches rose nearby. The Dogon retreated deeper into their cliffs, preserving the stories of the stars that missionaries dismissed as myth. The ancestors, once public guardians, became private confidants, worshipped in whispers instead of songs. The missionaries called it conversion, but to the African mind, it was transformation, a merging, not a replacement. Even in churches, the spirit of animism breathed. A prayer to Jesus was often followed by a silent nod to the ancestors. The cross and the calabash shared the same altar, each symbol carrying memory, each voice still speaking to divine. Yet the scars remain. Centuries of colonial propaganda painted animism as darkness, witchcraft, and superstition. Children were taught to fear their own heritage, to see their grandmother's rituals as evil. This spiritual shame, carefully planted, fractured identities across generations. Many Africans began to see their faith not as heritage, but as a curse to escape. And yet, the old ways endure. They survive in the ceremonies that bless the harvest, in the healer who still listens to ancestral whispers, in the drumbeat that summons courage at weddings and funerals alike. They live in language, in proverbs, in rhythm, and in memory. Colonialism could occupy the land, but it could not occupy the soul. For animism was never just a religion, it was the heartbeat of Africa itself. And no empire, however mighty, could silence a heartbeat that old. Though centuries of suppression sought to silence it, animism never vanished. It waited, in the soil, in the rhythm of drums, in the quiet rituals of grandmothers who still whispered blessings at dawn. Today, that ancient spirit is awakening once more, not as rebellion, but as remembrance. Across the continent, a quiet revival is taking place. From the forests of Ghana to the cities of South Africa, people are reclaiming the spiritual traditions once dismissed as primitive. Young Africans are asking new questions with old roots about identity, ancestry, and the balance between modern life and sacred heritage. The old gods are being spoken of again, not in fear, but in respect. In Nigeria, festivals dedicated to the Orishas draw both the devout and the curious, blending ancient devotion with modern celebration. In Kenya, cultural movements are reviving rituals that honor land and ancestors, teaching that sustainability is not innovation, it is memory. Across social media, a new generation of African thinkers, artists, and healers share their experiences of traditional spirituality, turning shame into pride and silence into conversation. Animism has found new expression beyond temples and forests. Its essence flows through Afrobeat rhythms, through the intricate designs of African fashion, through the storytelling of Nollywood films that echo ancient myths. Each artistic act becomes a modern ritual, reconnecting people to a lineage that colonialism tried to erase. In the urban centers of Accra, Lagos, and Johannesburg, ancestral practices now coexist with technology and modern religion. A Christian pastor may still pour libation before a family event. A Muslim family may consult a traditional diviner before a wedding. For in Africa, spirituality was never meant to divide. It was meant to harmonize. The sacred has always had room for many names. This resurgence is not nostalgia, it is reawakening, a realization that animism was never superstition, but a sophisticated worldview that taught balance, ecology, and respect long before those became global concerns. The Western world now speaks of mindfulness and connection to nature, yet Africa has practiced these truths for millennia. In this renewed age, animism stands not as Africa's past, but as its compass, a reminder that spirituality is not about worshiping many gods, but recognizing the divine in all things. The ancestors are not behind us, they walk beside us, in every rhythm, every voice, every heartbeat that remembers where it came from. The story of animism is not a tale of the past, it is the story of life itself. It is the wind that still knows your name, the rhythm that remembers your footsteps, the voice that speaks in silence when all else fades. From the first dawn to this very breath, Africa has never stopped listening. Animism endures because it speaks a truth that no empire could erase, that everything is alive, everything is sacred, and everything is connected. It teaches that the divine does not live in heaven, but here, in the soil beneath our feet, in the fire that warms our hands, in the pulse that beats within us all. To remember animism is to remember who we are, not as tribes or nations, but as one living spirit, endlessly reborn. If this journey moved you, share its heartbeat, subscribe, leave a like, and help us keep Africa's ancient wisdom alive. For the world still needs to hear the voice of the ancestors.